Listen up, Trekkies. You think you know everything about Star Trek? The Vulcan salute, the interracial kiss, Kirk's dramatic pauses. Yeah, we all know those. But here's the thing. There are facts about this franchise so bizarre, so completely unexpected, that even the most hardcore fans have never heard them. I'm talking about the kind of secrets that change how you watch the show forever. And one of these facts, it almost killed the entire franchise before it even started. So before we dive into the weird stuff, let's set the stage. Star Trek premiered in 1966 and has since become one of the most beloved sci-fi franchises in history. We're talking 726 episodes across multiple series, 13 films, and a fan base so dedicated they literally got NASA to name a space shuttle after the Enterprise. But behind all that success, there's a treasure trove of bizarre stories, near disasters, and facts so strange you'd think they came from an alternate timeline. Let's jump to warp speed. Fact 1. The woman who saved Star Trek. Lucille Ball literally saved Star Trek from cancellation. Yeah, that Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy. Here's what happened. Desilu Productions, owned by Lucy and DC Arnaz, was financing Star Trek. But when the show was about to get axed during the first season, the board wanted to pull the plug. Too expensive, too weird, too risky. But Lucy, she believed in it. She convinced everyone to keep backing it, even when it seemed like a financial disaster. Without her, there would be no Kirk, no Spock, no Beam Me Up, Scotty, which, by the way, was never actually said in the show, but we'll get to that later. The point is, one of the biggest sci-fi franchises in history exists because of a sitcom legend. Wild, right? So before we go to the fact 2, hit that subscribe button for Cinema Remembered. We're uncovering the stories behind your favorite shows and movies that nobody else is talking about. Fact 2, the bathroom break that changed history. The first Star Trek movie almost featured Kirk fighting Jesus. I'm not making this up. In the original script for Star Trek, the motion picture, there was a scene where Captain Kirk would fight an alien that looked like Jesus Christ. Thankfully, Gene Roddenberry's script was rejected. Can you imagine the controversy, the lawsuits, the absolute chaos? Instead, we got the version we know today, which is fine. But somewhere in an alternate universe, there's a timeline where Kirk fought Space Jesus, and I kind of want to see it. But here's the kicker, and this is where it gets even weirder. Fact 3, the glued fingers. The Vulcan salute was so hard to do that they had to glue actors' fingers together. You know the iconic live long and prosper hand gesture? Turns out, most people can't actually do it naturally. Leonard Nimoy based it on a Jewish blessing he saw as a kid, but when Zachary Quinto took over the role in the 2009 reboot, he couldn't get his fingers to cooperate. So what did J.J. Abrams do? He literally glued Quinto's fingers together to force them into position. And get this, William Shatner had the same problem. During filming of the original series, they had to tie his fingers together with fishing line. So every time you see that salute on screen, there's a decent chance someone's fingers are being held hostage by glue or string. Fact 4, the chest hair controversy. William Shatner's chest hair had to be shaved for every shirtless scene. Why? Because Gene Roddenberry believed that in the future, nobody would have chest hair. Everyone would be smooth and sleek like dolphins. So every time Kirk had to go shirtless, which, let's be honest, was pretty often, a barber would come in and shave Shatner's chest. Imagine being the person whose job was Captain Kirk's chest barber. That's a resume line right there. Fact 5, the finger that wasn't there. Scotty was missing a finger the entire time, and you probably never noticed. James Doohan, who played Montgomery Scotty Scott, lost his right middle finger during World War II. He was shot 6 times on D-Day, 4 bullets in his leg, 1 in his chest, and 1 that took off his finger. But the show hit it so well with clever camera angles and hand positioning that most fans never even realized. Go back and watch. You'll see him always holding things in specific ways, or keeping that hand out of frame. The man was a literal war hero, and he just casually acted like nothing happened. Fact 6, the kiss that made history. Kirk and Uhura's kiss wasn't actually the first interracial kiss on TV, but it was the most important. In 1968, when Plato's Stepchildren aired, it featured Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Uhura sharing a kiss. It wasn't technically the first interracial kiss on American television, but it was the first between a white man and a black woman. And here's the sneaky part. The kiss was originally supposed to be between Spock and Uhura, but William Shatner asked for the script to be rewritten so he could do it instead. Classic Kirk move. The episode was banned in some parts of the South, but it became a milestone in television history. And it happened because Shatner wanted to be the one to make history. Fact 7. The royalty heist. Gene Roddenberry stole 50% of the theme song royalties by writing fake lyrics. This one's shady. The Star Trek theme was composed by Alexander Courage. Beautiful, iconic, instantly recognizable. But Roddenberry wanted a cut of the royalties, so he wrote lyrics to the theme song. Lyrics that were never intended to be used or heard. By writing the lyrics, he legally became a co-creator of the song, which entitled him to 50% of the royalties. Courage was furious, but there was nothing he could do. So every time you hear that theme, just know, half the money went to a guy who wrote words nobody ever sang. Fact 8. The red shirt death trap. Wearing a red uniform made you 73% more likely to die. This isn't just a meme, it's statistically proven. In the original series, red uniforms were worn by security and engineering crew members. And if you were a red shirt on an away mission, you were basically a walking corpse. The term red shirting became slang for an expendable character who exists just to show how dangerous a situation is. In the 2009 reboot, they even made a joke about it. A red-shirted engineer named Olsen dies during an orbital skydive, while Kirk and Sulu, wearing different colors, survive. So if you're ever on the Enterprise, request a blue or gold uniform. Your life might depend on it. Fact 9. The Klingon language accident. The Klingon language was invented by Scotty, and it's now the most spoken fictional language in the world. James Doohan didn't just play an engineer. He basically became one for the Klingon language. He created the basic sounds and phrases, which were later expanded by linguist Mark Okrand into a full language. And here's the crazy part. Klingon is now recognized by Guinness World Records as the most widely spoken fictional language on Earth. More people speak Klingon than Elvish, Na'vi, or Dothraki. You can even learn it on Duolingo now. So if you've ever wanted to insult someone in an alien language, you're in luck. Fact 10. The transporter budget hack. The transporter was invented because the show was too broke to film shuttlecraft landings. You thought the transporter was some brilliant sci-fi concept? Nope. It was a budget hack. Landing a shuttle on a planet every episode would have been way too expensive to film in the 1960s. So the writers came up with the idea of beaming people down instead. And to create the transporter effect, they sprinkled glitter into a beam of light and filmed it, then cut it into the shape of the actors and faded them in and out. One of the most iconic sci-fi technologies in history exists because they couldn't afford better special effects. Fact 11. The tinnitus tragedy. An on-set explosion gave both Shatner and Nimoy permanent tinnitus. During the filming of one of the Star Trek movies, an explosion went off near both actors. The result? Permanent ringing in their ears that never went away. Shatner has spoken publicly about how debilitating it was. He said he's even talked people down from suicide because of tinnitus. He eventually learned to cope through habituation therapy, but it's something he'll deal with for the rest of his life. So yeah, being a starship captain came with some serious real-world consequences. Fact 12. The divorce curse. Star Trek destroyed William Shatner's first marriage. When the original series was canceled in 1969, Shatner's wife left him. The stress, the uncertainty, the financial strain, it all became too much. But here's the twist. The show eventually became a massive success in syndication, leading to movies, conventions, and millions of dollars. By then, though, the damage was done. Shatner has said that losing his wife was one of the hardest things he ever went through, And it all stemmed from the show's initial failure. Fact 13. The satanic Spock problem. NBC executives wanted to fire Spock because they thought he looked like Satan. I'm not kidding. When Gene Roddenberry pitched the original pilot, NBC executives took one look at Leonard Nimoy's pointy ears and said, "Nope, the guy with the ears has to go. He's gonna scare the hell out of every kid in America." They literally thought parents would think Spock was demonic, but Roddenberry refused. He fought for Spock, and thank God he did, because Spock became the breakout character of the entire series. Nimoy and Shatner are the only two actors who appeared in every single episode of the original series. Fact 14. The Pixar connection. Star Trek accidentally created Pixar. In The Wrath of Khan, there's a scene demonstrating the Genesis device, a weapon that can terraform entire planets. That sequence was the first entirely computer-generated scene in cinema history. The studio that created it? A little company that would later become Pixar. So, in a weird way, we have Star Trek to thank for Toy Story, Finding Nemo, and every other Pixar movie. Kirk and Spock paved the way for Woody and Buzz. Fact 15. The bathroom tubes. The Enterprise's hallway tubes are labeled GNDN, which stands for Goes Nowhere, Does Nothing. This is my favorite fact. If you look closely at the tubes running through the Enterprise's corridors, some of them are labeled GNDN. It's easy to miss, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. It stands for Goes Nowhere, Does Nothing. The set designers put it there as a joke, basically admitting that those tubes were just for decoration. They served no actual purpose in the ship's design. And honestly, that's the most relatable thing about Star Trek. Sometimes things just exist because they look cool, and that's okay. So there you have it. 15 bizarre Star Trek facts that even hardcore fans probably missed. But here's the thing, we've only scratched the surface. There are so many more wild stories from this franchise, like how NASA scientists wore Spock ears while monitoring space missions, or how George Takei tried to end the Star Wars verses. Star Trek debate by uniting both fandoms against Twilight. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the weird and wonderful world of Star Trek, make sure to subscribe to Cinema Remembered and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Drop a comment below telling me which fact blew your mind the most, and share this video with that one friend who thinks they know everything about Star Trek. Trust me, they'll thank you for it. Live long and prosper, nerds. I'll see you in the next one.